Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. It is Connor. We're back here with another edition of the Rumour Mill. We're back in the studio. We're back with some more news, and we're back with discussion, discourse, debate, and all of that fantastic stuff above. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're back, as I've just mentioned, everybody. Please make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Make sure you're commenting, subscribing, and all that good stuff. We're back with probably around 2 videos a day. My goodness, everybody. And we're away again. Away again next week. Can you believe it? Honestly, it's one of those. It's like all buses come at once. It's happened with me, and yeah, a wedding later on next week in Sevilla. So yeah, listen, impromptu, and I have no money, so there we go. No money settings again here on the Leeds Fan Channel. So shout out to all of you helping me out, and listen, I really appreciate it. So yeah, we'll be back with some more travel content. You guys seem to really enjoy it. I did about 3 videos, and I think they hit about 50,000-60,000 views, and yeah, there you go. So you clearly enjoyed it, which is fantastic news. So me just waffling, going round. So maybe there's a little bit of an avenue there for us. How about that? Maybe there's a little bit of an avenue for us to be traveling and talking. Walkabouts with Connor, never mind watch-alongs. But yeah, I hope you're all doing really well. Let's get into a couple of your comments. I'm just going to bend forward here, everybody, just to pause, just have a look at some of the comments. Morning, Connor. Evening. Hello. What time do you call this, Connor? Yeah, sorry, mate. Sometimes it can be a little bit temperamental, the old technology. Leeds United's bid to sign Tottenham defender Joe Rodon is set to collapse. We're going to get into that. Don't worry, mate. Morning, Terry. Morning, Dan. Hope you're good. The travel show with Connor. Finally get to see a live show. Evening, Alison. Hope you're all doing well, everybody. Lovely to see all of you familiar faces in here this morning. So, yeah, let's get into it, everyone. So, I mean, we've just spoken about it there when it comes to Joe Rodon. And listen, I've sort of muted this for a while now when it comes to Joe and what I expect. And I sort of said this at the end of the season. I felt, and I do still feel, that potentially there's a lot of Leeds fans who are basing a lot of this, as you guys know, you know what I'm probably going to say here, on sentiment. They're all basing this on, oh, Joe loved Leeds. He loved Leeds. He bled white. Well, no, Joe Rodon doesn't. I mean, maybe from a Swansea persuasive, but that is, I don't think football works that way. And I think the problem is with football fans in general is you get attached to a lone player. I didn't get massively attached to Joe on like a ridiculous level. You know, I really didn't. It was just one of those, unfortunately. Like I like Joe 50 games. I'd love to have him back, but I wouldn't have put him on the level of Ben White. And maybe that's the Bielsa sort of era of which, you know, you did get a little bit more attached to those players for what they did. And Ben White was just wow for Leeds United. But yeah, Joe, there's updates this morning. There's obviously the Steve Cooper announcement at Leicester. It all just feels very familiar in terms of Leeds remaining in the Championship and not having that stronghold on a player. Now, what do we know? What are the facts right now? Red Bull are helping us in a huge quantity when it comes to the Crysencio Somerville deal. We know that for a fact. It is Leeds have a stronghold now where it's not that we're not getting fleeced for 25 million for Crysencio Somerville. We are looking upwards of 40 million quid, and we're going to speak about that in just a little bit. But it basically means on the negotiation table, Leeds are not just being passive. We are being diligent, but we are being resilient as well, and ruthless. And I love that word. Ruthless in football is what my club haven't been for 2 decades. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And I think we will get good value for players. I've mentioned on this channel before, there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 centre-backs that you can get in on a relative level now for good money, for even loans. When you're looking at Premier League clubs as well, you know, players who maybe Premier League clubs aren't interested in anymore, who are available for a good transfer fee. I think you've probably got to be looking below 10 million for a centre-back. If we've been realistically, probably below 8 million quid. And this is where Joe Rodon, in my opinion, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So I think you're going to get Levy looking at the 3 potentials who've just come up, looking at they've got a decent split of money between them, even Leicester. And they're going to start preparing now. You know, Joe Rodon, when we talk about Stevie Cooper, we'll get into that just in a little bit, but it does make sense. You're someone of that level going to one of those top clubs who've just, you know, got up there. And you know, Levy's going to turn around, in my opinion, and I have said this throughout, this is just one of those where I've just got a feeling for, and he's just going to turn around and say, right, okay, we're going to have a little bit of a bidding war here. There's 2 of you who are quite keen, Southampton as well. There's been a lot of discussion there. We know Russell Martin likes him. He's mentioned him before. Steve Cooper has worked with him at Swansea before. He's mentioned what an excellent centre-back he is in terms of him being able to play on the left, in terms of him being able to play on the right of a back two. We all know this. We saw this when Pascal Strout left the team through injury. And, he was then the funnel, wasn't he? Rodon was then the funnel on the left and on the right at points. So, listen, we know he's a good centre-back at this level. We know he can probably acclimatise the Premier League level with a better defensive structure around him as well. And it's not all just funneled on him in terms of playing out from the back. He did develop in that area, but we know it's not all just down to him, which it was at Leeds United when Strout left the settings. So, yeah, listen, I don't think it's that realistic. Stevie Cooper likes him a lot. And we all know as well that Kieran McKenna's a massive fan of him as well, which has been something that has been reported, I think it's by the Anglian Times, but there's definitely been publications down there which have said, look, Kieran McKenna's a massive fan of him. So when they've got Wolfenden, when they've got Burgess, when they haven't exactly got Premier League centre-backs down there, you would expect once these Euros are over for a bit of a move when it comes to Joe Rodon for these clubs. So yeah, I mean, would I be disappointed? Yeah, I would be disappointed in that because I like Joe, but I'm not as attached to him as a few. But I might regret that. There's a bit of consistency there. There's momentum. There's a continuum with him being there last season under Daniel Farke as well. So yeah, we shall wait and see with that one. Full agreement. Doria del Sevilla, I should say, have said that apparently Marc Roca's fee that he's going to be going to Betis for, obviously we know that this is now going to be a permanent signing, is going to be below 4 million quid. I didn't know initially what the fee was. It was all undisclosed, this, that, and the other. But Doria del Sevilla, when it comes to the Spanish side, are muting almost a £4 million fee, or it's a 4.35, I think, a million euros and under 4 million. Fee went at £4 million. So yeah, once again, bought him in for 10 million quid and we've made a loss on him. It's good we've got him off the books. His value is only going to depreciate probably, but it does feel like, and I know a lot of you guys don't like him. Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, it does seem like a very low fee if that is to be the fee that Leeds are going to let him go for. But yeah, there's a muted fee at this moment of below 4 million quid. Now, that is a rumour. We have no idea if that is the actual fee. There's been a lot of chat right now about it being undisclosed, which obviously means that you're not able to see the fee. But yeah, there's been a lot of discourse this morning about it being below. Listen, for a player who is sort of in his prime, he's still young enough. He's played however many games for Espanyol. He's played for the Spanish national side. He's been brilliant for Betis for large portions of the season. He's got goals this season as well. I think he's played 30-odd games. He had a bit of a dry spell when it came to performances, but he did all right. And if that is the muted fee that we are going to be paying for him, if that is the fee, I do see that as a big loss. Roca wants to leave. We know that he wants to leave, but I'd have been so tempted just to keep him. Keep him and just put him within that midfield three. A nice little balance between him, Archie, and Ampadu. I personally think that technically would have worked. And for all those saying, Dan James was able to acclimatise. Firpo was able to acclimatise. I thought technically Roca is miles ahead of those two anyway. So for him to come down championship level, loads of people keep going on about athleticism when it comes down to Marc Roca. Okay, yeah, is the athleticism what it is in the championships, what it is in the Premier League? Absolutely not. He was without his midfield partner for mass portions of that Premier League season as well. That's never taken into context because people just don't like him. But listen, it is what it is. And for a large portion of that season in the Premier League, Roca was available. So availability and dependability is key in football. We always speak about this on the channel. And listen, for below 4 million quid, you've got to look at it and think, blimmin' out. I've just seen Luke in there saying Ayo Tanaka's changed his agent. He's looking for a new club. As I mentioned on this channel several times, Luke, that would be an unbelievable move for Leeds United. Tanaka, I always sort of mention when every stream, a lot of people say it was between Gruev and Tanaka. I don't really see that because I think Tanaka's a little bit more progressive, a little bit more attacking, a little bit more forceful in that respect. But I'd love to see someone like him at the club. Is at Dusseldorf right now. They haven't been promoted. Obviously, we're beaten by Bochum in the playoff. They're staying down in Dusseldorf in Bundesliga 2. That would be a nice little signing for me. Goals guaranteed as well. That's what I was talking about when I was saying Leeds need to go to the continent and invest in players that are good value. Good value. Don't play over the odds over here. get good value from the continent. Okay, and what else do we know? Brandon says, come off it with Roca. Stop flagging that horse. Brandon, it's not, I'm not flogging, let's say flogging. I'm not flogging the horse, mate. I just think we should have got a lot more money for him. We bought him in for 10 million quid and we're selling him for a loss. Maybe listen, I'm not at the negotiation table there. I'm not talking to, Steinson and co about what's going on with that deal. I bet he's been a little bit more stubborn. The Leeds need that money. Is that value going to depreciate? I think there's a genuine an option that he has a really good season this season. I think that's not a bad sort of pathway to look at with him. Would he have a decent season in the Championship? Yeah, he would. He'd be better than pretty much. Well, I think he'd probably be one of the best top 3 midfielders in the Championship, and that's why it'd have been a shame. But it is what it is. I'm not flogging it, mate. I just think we should have maybe got a little bit more of a fee for him. But it is what it is. Okay, so Jack Harrison, a done deal. Moving on to one here where some Leeds United fans still think they can be integrated back into the Leeds side. Which there we go. Looks like it's going to be a done deal to Everton in terms of a loan fee. There's no obligation there for a 3rd season in terms of them buying him or, an option. It just looks like it's another loan deal. Jack's got to prove himself again. Once again, it helps with the spreading of payments, amortization, that key A word that we always go on about on the channel. Yeah, would I have taken Jack back? No. Is a loan move to Everton the best option for Leeds United right now? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's one of those, once again, where the value of Jack Harrison is probably a little bit more than a 2-year loan deal. And I think we're getting to a period now where Jack's going to be coming back and he'll be, 28, I think, when he comes back to Leeds. Would we, bring him back into the side? There's so many variables here. Would Leeds be a Premier League side? Next season, we're going to be a Championship side. Jack doesn't want to play Championship football, but Premier League football, is he good enough for Leeds United anyway? I would say no. But are we going to be able to sell him next year? Is Dyche going to still be in charge of Everton next year? If Dyche isn't in charge of Everton next year, does Jack Harrison fit, another manager's plans? Because he's very, very specific to a Dyche system with McNeil on one side, Harrison on the other. I don't know. And listen, is there going to be a genuine option for him to come back at Leeds? I feel a 2-year loan deal, which essentially it's going to be. I don't think there's any more integration with him coming back at Leeds. It'd be like a fresh new signing, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, that would extend his time. And he's still got years on his contract left at Leeds. Callum, I'll get into that in a little bit, mate. Get into that in a little bit. Don't worry about that. We've spoken about Stevie Cooper. We've spoken about Jack Harrison as well. We've spoken about Marc Roca. We're going to speak now about Wilfried Gnonto. Now, this is so interesting. It is so interesting. Now, we know he changed agent after the absolute fiasco at the start of the season when it came to Wilfried Gnonto, when it was essentially them trying to drag him out the club. Farke spoke with him. Apparently, the club hierarchy spoke with him. And as we know, they're able to iron it out. Now, we spoke about this at the start of the season. Who is going to be interested? Who is going to be interested? Hi, Gail. In Wilfried Gnonto, that is going to be able to really afford him. We've got AC Milan. We've got Inter Milan apparently interested. Now, will this all sort of get a little bit more heated after the Euros? We spoke about this on the video the other day. Even with players who are not at the Euros, it can be complex because, Leeds might look at someone in the Euros and go, oh, do you know what? We'll give him a go. Yeah, we'd like that. So we're not going to bring in a new centre-back because we're maybe going to try negotiation with Verba, So it does impact stuff. It definitely does impact stuff. Wilfried Gnonto, Inter Milan might be looking at a certain individual, and then Wilfried Gnonto might be second, third on shortlist. And that individual at the top might be at the Euros. So it might be impacting, they might be looking at his performances. So what do we know? What are the facts? He changed agent and he was close to a new deal. We know that in sort of Jan, Feb, he was close to a new deal. That didn't happen for whatever reason. Now, we then know that he was dropped from the international side. Mancini going out was a massive impact on, obviously, what happened. He wasn't favoured by the new guy and he was dropped, wasn't he, for the World Cup? The Euros, I should say. So Gnonto's really interesting because his profile is really different now to what it was. Now, can he raise that profile again? Of course he can, but let's just look at the cold hard facts of where he was. He was probably Leeds' best player in the Premier League when we got relegated, which is a massive factor. He was the danger man. You had pundits talking about him on Match of the Day, Sky Sports, CBS, ESPN. they were speaking about Gnonto as being that sort of, you know, the metronome, that word that people are using at this moment in time. In that Leeds United side, we have to get the ball to him. He's going to make the impact, you know, elevated by that goal against Man United as well, etc., etc. International posters about Willie Gnonto when he was getting in the side. He was seen as the poster boy. He was, yeah, I just think it was perfect for him. Mancini had spoken about him glowingly. So he's at a very different point in his career now. He's now in the Championship. He's not been playing week in, week out. His goal return hasn't been unbelievable. His performances haven't been unbelievable. He's had to change agent because, you know, of the dispute at the start of the season. Clubs may look at that and say, well, we don't want that. We don't want that. And Willie Gnonto is taking care of his profile there by getting a new agent. So you are a club genuinely going to come in for him? You know, are a club genuinely going to come in for him? This is the fascinating discussion right now. As we said, it's all going to be post Euros with a lot of this stuff happening. But I just wonder with him, because I think Leeds, with this stronghold of being this 49ers, Red Bull cohesive partnership right now, they may just say, look, Willie Gnonto, we'll cut our losses. We need the money. We can't just be as sort of ruthless as we've been with Crysencio Somerville when it's 35 million plus, and that's what we're asking for, bottom dollar. They might have to go a little bit low with Willie Gnonto if they are to get some money, and we have to be a little bit more realistic here. But even if you go to Willie Gnonto, who Leeds rejected 25 million pound bids for in the 49ers' first summer campaign, right now, is a team going to come in with that sort of value? Or are Leeds going to say, look, we bought him in for what, 4.25 million or whatever it was from Switzerland, brought him in, and we're going to make profit on him? The Leeds going to look at it like that if they ask for 20 million quid. I think that's realistic. But Willie Gnonto, in my opinion, still has the ceiling to be able to get better and better and better for Leeds. I fully believe that. And especially if Somerville is to leave, Willie Gnonto can be the main man. He can be the main man. That can happen. And you can almost put the team around, make the team around, you know, build it is the right phrase I was looking for, around Willie Gnonto. And he does have the ability to be able to drag Leeds through it next season 100%. He has that star quality. So he's one to keep a real eye on. Real eye on. I've seen Bob says Gnonto is worth 20 million tops. Who's shown interest apart from the Italians? James was better than Gnonto all season. Yeah, I think the thing with James is, everybody, I think I like Dan. I do like Dan. But I think technically, I think Gnonto is just a better player, but they both play on that right-hand side. How will that impact things? If Somerville goes, can Gnonto go on the left? I don't know. Rutter's still in that mix as well, who I don't think is going to be leaving the club. But it's all going to be dependent on the money that Leeds raise as well, everybody. Leeds have got to raise that money. And, you know, are we looking potentially at Gnonto being sold just for us to get that cash injection? Okay, so Leeds as well. I've mentioned on the thumbnail that we're chasing at the Northern Ireland man. Now, as you can see on the thumbnail, everybody, that Northern Ireland man is Trai Hume. Now, according to reports last week, I didn't speak about it, but there was a couple of Sunderland publications saying that Leeds are hot on the tail of Trai Hume. Now, we've mentioned on the channel several times that Trai Hume is you know, a top player at this level. I think he'll be a Premier League. He's only 21 years of age, pretty much played every single game for Sunderland this season, and he was a rock. You know, I remember him going up against Crysencio Somerville really struggling against him. You know, really struggling against him in terms of just being able to get past him. That 1v1 defending was very, very good. Let me just, hold on, everybody. Let me just refresh this for you. See, it's going a bit blurry. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Bear with me. And we're back. Sorry about that, everyone. But yeah, we know Trai Hume's availability is going to be difficult. Gareth says, Trai play for my local team in Belfast and has been an absolute incredible talent for years. He has, mate. I really, really, really like him. I think Trai Hume is one of those players who he's got a huge high. Sunderland have got a lot of those. You know, they've got a lot of them. Patterson, I think he's a good keeper at this level. Trai Hume, obviously Jack Clark. You know, there's a few of them. Ekwa in midfield who has got such a high ceiling, and it has worked for Sunderland. You know, they were criticised a lot for bringing these young players in and them having a cap on literally anyone above 23. But I think in the last year, I think you give Sunderland 2 years with this squad, if they're able to keep a decent amount of them together, I think Sunderland are going to be right up there. I think they'll get promoted, and that's kind of, clearly their blueprint. You know, they're not getting millions from parachute payments, but they believe in this system, this background noise that they're making in terms of bringing these young players in, building the talent on that sort of, you know, Moneyball approach, if you will, Brentford-esque, Brighton-esque, and bringing those players in and having that ceiling and selling them on for big money. I think Trai Hume's going to go for a lot of money. I'd like to see Leeds implement that a little bit. I know Victor Orta tried it with your Rutters, your Gnontos, and that might pay off, but there was a lot of duds in there, as we all know. But yeah, listen, massive fan of Trai Hume. If that was to become available as a right back, everybody, for me, it'd be probably the signing of the season. It would. Hey, Rod as well. Yeah, he'd be one of the signings of the season. I think Trai Hume, it would be. He'd be playing every single game for us. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. He can play in centre back. He's so aggressive, and you Northern Ireland fans will know that as well. He's so aggressive, so good at reading the game as well, and he barely puts a foot wrong. Barely puts a foot wrong. And you speak to any Sunderland fan, they love him. They absolutely love him. So, 21 years of age. You know, his contract's still quite healthy, I believe. We did a video on him not long ago in terms of the targets I would go for. But if we're to get some capital in for Somerville, if we're to get some money in, Sunderland are a selling club, as every club is. But Sunderland will sell. They will sell. You go look at the history in the last 2 years. Sunderland will sell for a fee, for a decent fee. So, yeah, Bob said transfer market has him at 7 million. To be honest, mate, I don't really know the valuation, but you've also got to look at his contract as well. He's still got a healthy contract left at Sunderland. As I say, that one be a star, an absolute star signing. Daniel Jefferson as well. Graham Bailey, I know we've had him on the channel before, everyone, and I know there's a lot of heated sort of opinion on Graham in terms of his sources, and if you find him accurate, it is the rumor mill, everybody. That's why we had him on before, because he gives rumors. It's not us saying that he's an unbelievable source or whatever. But yeah, he is reporting that Daniel Jefferson today is still a Leeds United target, and we're pursuing him in the background of all this sort of stuff. But I do find that difficult to believe, because I don't see Leeds signing another striker if Bamford isn't to be sold, or Joseph or Perot. So if Joseph goes, Jefferson seems a likely option, but that would really, if I'm being quite honest with you, piss me off. And I'm sure it would piss a lot of you off. Why would we bring in another young talent for a young talent that we have essentially harnessed and brought through our development and looked at last season, and then replace him with a Sheffield United product, and who is not really proven himself either? I don't get that, and this is why I don't really understand the Jefferson links. I like him. I think he's a decent profile, but to bring a Jefferson in, you've got to get rid of a Bamford, I think, because he's more of a Bamford profile than a Perot profile or a Joseph profile. And for me, that's the issue you've got now with the striking department. Leeds have gone balls deep with Perot for 16 million quid. You know, that they have gone balls deep, and they'll still be playing installments for that, 100%. But I just don't see why that would make any sense whatsoever. And if that did happen, if we were to sign another striker, I know everybody in here will be like, sign a striker, sign a striker, sign a striker, because it's a shiny new toy. And I get that. People love it. It's a big shiny new toy. You think to yourself, oh my goodness, a new striker who's going to score loads of goals and we're going to go up. And really, in the Championship, that is what you need. You need solid rear guard, reliable keeper, and a striker who's going to get 25 plus goals. And you really, at that point, it's quite simple to get out the Championship. It really is. When you look at that, it always takes me back to the Reading days when they got a record amount of points. Was it Nathan Ellington up front and Jason Roberts? They had a solid team. They had an absolute rear guard, which was impenetrable. Yeah. It wasn't a star-studded team, but they had a goal scorer up front in Jason Roberts, a decent player in Nathan Ellington who was able to really get in and around it. And yeah, I don't know why I've gone back to Reading there. There's definitely been more recent ones. But yeah, I just think it's one of those, West Ham recently, Vaz in the Championship, strong rear guard. So yeah, listen, there's a lot that we can do, but I don't really understand the point in us doing that. That makes no sense to me. You sell Bamford, I get Jefferson. I understand it. That's the only real avenue that I want, though. I do not want us to be selling Matteo Joseph. And there isn't any rumours, by the way, that we're going to be selling Matteo Joseph. But if we're this far rumoured with Jefferson in terms of us saying, he's in the background, blah, 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 we've got to keep an eye on that one, I think. Guys, that is going to be it from me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on the videos. We are going to start doing the Patreon stuff again. We've got Generation Leeds penned in. We're going to get Across the Pond penned in with Gabe as well. So make sure you check that out if you want some bonus podcasts over the quiet season. We're going to maybe do some transfer bits as well. We've got Joe back on the channel on Monday. And we're back. We're back, everybody. So make sure you're tuning in. Hope you're enjoying this stuff, everyone. Make sure you like as well. If you've just joined, you can replay this from the beginning as well. A fair few bit of content here when it comes to rumours. It's been an absolute pleasure, everyone. And I will see you in a bit. Cheers.